As we begin our rewilding journey, we inevitably start to think about food. We become aware of how much food plays a part in our energy levels, in our clarity of thinking, in how often we get sick, in how fast wounds heal. And we start to think about food in the context of our long-term health and in the relationship that it creates with the environment that we live in. For me, I noticed that sometimes I would eat things and I'd feel really, really good. Other times I'd be eating stuff and it didn't really jive with my body very much. So, of course, I started looking online and reading books, and there are so many experts out there telling you exactly what to eat. And it gets really confusing because the science of the day that's interpreted by these experts, it's changing and shifting all the time. You probably remember when saturated fats, they were out, they were evil. And so we all started eating a lot of sugar instead. Now most of us are eating tons of sugar. The whole get rid of saturated fats thing, that didn't seem to be working because as a country we became more obese, we had more and more heart disease. The science just wasn't panning out. So when I look at all the experts out there and I say, who am I going to follow? Is it going to be the paleo diet people, the primal diet people, the Mediterranean diet people? I can do this dance of confusion, right? Of any food you look up on Google, you can find how good it is for you, and you can find how it's basically going to kill you by tomorrow if you eat even one bite of it. So here's the thing. No matter how good the science seems to be today, and how convincing some of these experts are, probably 10, 20 years from now, we're going to find out that their reasoning was flawed. And we will have spent the last 10 or 20 years putting what they said into our bodies, and then be suffering the consequences of that. So what if there is one dietary expert out there who knows better than anybody else, better than any of these other experts? You may have guessed it already. That expert does exist. And that expert is you. Our bodies, I don't know why this should come as such a surprise to us, but our bodies have a natural sense of what is good and nourishing to eat. I call it our Nourish Sense. And that Nourish Sense, our body's ability to look at food and to feel drawn towards food that's most going to nourish us, and our ability to put food into our bodies and to tell from that feeling that food gives us how that's reacting with our body's physiology. This is a natural sense, a nourished sense that we all possess. But it's buried. Like a lot of our natural gifts, it's hidden. And it's been eclipsed by our cultural conditioning, which says always look to others for the answers. But your body, it knows. As I have uncovered my Nourish Sense in my body, I've come to a place in my life where I can look at a range of foods and my body will seem to be telling me exactly what it wants to eat. What I feel is happening there is that our body is intelligent and it knows that it needs, let's say, vitamin C. And so then items out there that have a lot of vitamin C content, my body's naturally going to be drawn towards them. Will we need more protein? Or we need more fat? Our body will do the same thing. It will naturally ask for those items. When I put food into my body now, I can tell just a few minutes after ingesting something, I can tell, wow, my body is feeling that. It feels empowered, it feels strong, it feels vital. Or, it's not feeling right. And that's that feeling that we can tune into. Again, I call it the Nourish Sense, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to start bringing that sense back to life. First of all, we have to ReWild our taste buds. I have an article on that I wrote on my blog that goes into more depth. But our taste buds have been conditioned to really only enjoy a certain little concoction of tastes that is very strongly present in our culture. And that's a mixture of salt, sugar, and fat. And you put those together and it's addictively delicious. And mostly addictively. Because after you start weaning yourself of that combination, when you taste it, you'd be like, it's not that delicious. It doesn't actually taste that good. And a lot of our foods are just, that is their flavor. And as odd as it may sound, chips, ice cream, a candy bar, those really deal in that same little combination, that suite of flavors. And that combination is so overwhelming that we miss out on this vast range of flavor that is available to us as human beings. So, a simple exercise. Go through your spice cabinet, pick out some little pieces of food, and take 20 samples of food and set them out in front of you. A little teeny bit of an apple, a piece of dark chocolate, a little dap of butter, a pile of cinnamon, and then go through and just taste each of those foods. Do it slowly and really just feel what happens in your body when you put that food into your mouth. And what's surprising for most people is if you've thoughtfully arranged a whole bunch of different flavors out there, it's amazing how much flavor there is out there in the world. And that can wake us up to the realization that in our usual meals, if we kind of ease up on especially the sugars and the salts, and we start to taste our foods with a little less of extra seasoning, we can start to appreciate the amazing flavors that are already present in the food. So I can have a plate of vegetables and I can drown that in a cheddar cheese sauce. Oh yeah. And it's delicious, but really in a way all I taste is the cheddar cheese sauce. And the rest of the stuff becomes like white bread. It's kind of flavorless. But if I get rid of that cheese sauce and I taste those vegetables one by one, especially if those are homegrown or organic vegetables or wild gathered foods, amazing how delicious and how much flavor is in each of those different vegetables. Here's something you can do. Your friends or family may look at you a little bit strange, but you can eat blindfolded. If you eat blindfolded, you will be more engaged with your food. Because we're so visual and tend to always be looking around and being distracted by our vision. When we take the vision out of the picture, then we're able to interact with our food on a much more profound level. And as you bring the food into you, blindfolded, and you eat it, you'll start to appreciate the flavors, the textures, and you'll probably be more tuned in to your body and how it's responding to those foods. In the same vein, you can try a silent meal. When I love talking with my family during mealtime, but when we don't talk, and similarly, not watching TV or reading a book or a magazine, when we just eat the food, we're going to be more tuned into it, more mindful of that relationship with our food. And I think that you'll find that not only do you appreciate the meal more, but you're going to be able to read the messages from your body a lot more clearly. Another method that can be useful for awakening our Nourish sense is to eat a meal and then set aside just 10 minutes after the meal to sit quietly with no distractions. What this is a small space of time that allows you to pay attention to your physiological reaction to whatever you've eaten. I'm not saying we can't hear people a little bit when they're telling us what might or might not be good for our body, but I think that most of us, it's kind of a no-brainer that quart of pop and a Hungry Man dinner, that's barely recognizable as food, it's not doing us any favors. The fast food, that you'd get at McDonald's or Burger King, it's just, for me personally, don't even consider it food. Why bother putting that in my body? I'm better off not eating. But for a lot of other foods, I really have to ask my body, butter? Is that good? Bad? Coconut oil, olive oil, bacon, ice cream, dark chocolate, carrots. Carrots are one that some people say, are great, and others say, ugh, they're terrible, they're going to kill you, they're just full of sugar. Your body knows. As much as we would like to have somebody give us a cookie cutter diet that works for everybody, the fact is that we all have different physiologies. Our genetic makeup, our heritage, our current state of metabolism, even our mood, all of these things and much more affect how our body is going to process food. To say that there's one diet that's going to work for everybody, I just don't think that's viable. Your body, you have a diet that's going to work for you. And it's not something that you can write down on paper and hold to as a rule, because it's going to change day by day as your body is asking for more protein, for more fats, for more specific nutrients or minerals. If we can tune into our nourish sense, our body will speak to us. And then we will naturally be drawn to food that is going to make us feel vibrant, clear-minded, joyful, and very appreciative of food in general. Food does not have to be our enemy. And we don't have to spend our time buying people's products in order to learn what's right for our body. Your body knows. If you experiment with any of this, please write in on the comments, and I would love to hear your experiences and also your past experiences. What works for you food-wise? Have you found a diet that just makes your body thrive? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, thanks much.